The communications array on Station Kepler 442 had been dead for 3 weeks when Arthur finally traced the problem to a corroded relay junction deep in the maintenance tunnels. It wasn't glamorous, work crawling through access shafts with nothing but a toolkit and a headlamp, but someone had to do it. And the station's skeleton crew of 12 humans didn't include anyone else willing to get their hands dirty. Arthur wiped sweat from his brow as he soldered the final connection. The relay hummed to life, and immediately the comm system erupted with overlapping signals from a dozen nearby sectors. He smiled to himself. Another problem solved with human stubbornness and duct tape, fusion adhesive. But the principle remained the same. What he didn't expect was the signal that came through exactly 17 minutes later. It wasn't standard traffic. The frequency was archaic. The modulation pattern belonged to a civilization most species had forgotten. Arthur's training kicked in. He was a communications specialist. After Ireland, he began the painstaking work of decoding it. 3 hours later, he had a location, an uncharted moon in a nearby system, and a message that repeated on loop, waiting, 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 against his better judgment. Arthur took one of the station's scout ships. He didn't tell anyone. In hindsight, that was probably stupid. But humans had a talent for acting on curiosity before consulting common sense. The moon was small, tidally locked, with one face perpetually illuminated by its gas giant parent. On the dark side, nestled in a crater, Arthur's sensors detected a structure crystalline, impossibly old, and still powered by technology he couldn't identify. He landed 50 meters away. The structure's entrance opened as he approached, responding to his presence like it had been waiting for him specifically. Inside, bioluminescent patterns crawled across the walls, leading him deeper into a chamber that seemed to exist in more dimensions than his eyes could properly process. And there, in the center, stood Helen. She was breathtaking in a way that transcended species. Her form was humanoid, but refined skin that shimmered like mother-of-pearl, eyes that held galaxies, wearing robes that seemed woven from starlight itself. A crown of crystallized thought matter floated above her head, marking her as royalty among the a race so ancient they'd achieved transcendence while humanity was still learning to make fire. "You came," she said, her voice resonating directly in his mind. "After all this time, you finally came." Arthur stood frozen, his hand still on his sidearm. I just fixed a relay. I picked up your signal." Helen moved toward him with impossible grace, her eyes never leaving his face. "I have been dreaming of you for 3,000 cycles. Every night, in the space between sleep and transcendence, I saw your face. A human, small, fragile, temporary yet essential to everything." That's impossible," Arthur stammered. "We only discovered FTL 70 years ago. How could you? Time flows differently for my kind," Helen interrupted, reaching out to touch his face. Her fingers were warm, solid, real. "We exist partially outside causality. I saw you before you existed, before your species learned to reach for the stars. I saw you fixing what was broken, connecting what was severed. I saw you." Arthur's mind raced through a dozen rational explanations and found none that fit. "Why me? I'm just a technician. I fix comm arrays and recalibrate sensors. I'm nobody special." Helen smiled, and it was like watching a sunrise for the first time. "You are quintessentially human, Arthur. That is what makes you extraordinary. My people solved every problem through transcendence. We evolved beyond challenge, beyond struggle. We became so advanced that we forgot how to fix things. When something breaks for the eternum, we simply replace it or abandon it. We've lost the gift of persistence. She gestured to the chamber around them. This facility was meant to be a bridge between dimensions, a gift to the younger races. But when it failed, we couldn't repair it. We lack the stubbornness, the refusal to accept defeat, the human quality of looking at something broken and saying, "Not on my watch." Arthur looked around the chamber with new eyes, seeing the dead conduits, the failing power couplings, the beautiful machine slowly dying because its creators had forgotten how to get their hands dirty. "You want me to fix it," he said quietly. "I want you to teach me how," Helen replied. "I am the crown princess of the Eternum Collective. I command fleets that span galaxies. I can reshape reality with thought alone, but I cannot pick up a tool and mend what is broken. Show me, Arthur. Teach my people what yours has never forgotten: how to build, how to repair, how to persist against entropy itself." Arthur set down his toolkit and pulled out a diagnostic scanner. "All right," he said, a grin spreading across his face. "But fair warning, this is going to take a while, and it's going to be tedious, and you're probably going to get frustrated." Helen knelt beside him, her royal robes pooling on the ancient floor. "I have dreamed of you for millennia. I can wait a little longer." As Arthur began explaining the basics of power flow diagnostics, he realized this was perhaps the most human moment imaginable. A technician from a species barely a century into space travel, teaching an immortal princess from a transcendent civilization how to use a multimeter. 3 months later, the dimensional bridge hummed to life for the first time in 10,000 years. Helen's hands were dirty, her robes were stained with coolant, and she had never been happier. The Eternum Collective watched in wonder as their princess demonstrated the lost art of repair, learned from a human who'd simply refused to let broken things stay broken. Arthur taught her more than engineering. He taught her persistence, ingenuity, and the stubborn human belief that any problem could be solved with enough time, effort, and creative swearing. And Helen taught him that sometimes the universe really did need humans, not despite their limitations, but because of them. In the end, she wasn't wrong about the dreams. Arthur was exactly the person she needed. Not a warrior, not a diplomat, not a genius, just a technician who knew how to fix what was broken, and that, as it turned out, was the most valuable skill in the galaxy.